Ron, and we'll check back with you a little later, and it's satellite communication problems that have prevented us from transmitting the pictures that Ron was talking about that we're shooting on that platform a short time ago, but we should get those up here. However, we do have pictures from Winthrop.
Some live pictures now from the Winthrop Beach area. We had a report from David Boeri earlier. You can see the waves, the wind kicking up the tide and the waves there. We've just also been told that the Tobin Bridge has now been closed. It gets pretty dangerous to drive on the bridge when the winds start howling in excess of 40 or 50 miles an hour. The Tobin Bridge has been closed. Nobody on the beach in Winthrop, which makes eminent good sense. You can see it's pretty nasty out there at Winthrop, and the storm is still better than an hour away.
Let's check in with Brian Leary now and see what news there is around the Boston area in terms of commuting. Brian?
Well, that and Chet, actually, for the last few minutes, we've been trying to get a handle on power outages in the area. Obviously, a concern with a storm of this magnitude.
I would not recommending the formal dining room. This way, please.
So wherever you may be safe, the police are roaming the street looking for homeless people. There are vans going around. There are definitely places you can be taken in.
Oh, you didn't, Robert.
Come on over. I thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back shortly with another World News Update, obviously much of it taking place with news from the Soviet Union. I'm Ned Colt at the Monitor News Desk.
Has been a special report from the television news desk of the Christian Science Monitor. We now return you to programming already in progress.
And in the next hour, many portions of the eastern Rhode Island and southeastern Mass, that is Plymouth southward, are going to experience the brunt of this storm.
Okay, we'll be bringing you some more pictures from that area, too, in a few minutes. Right now, let's check in with Kirby Perkins, who is waiting for the storm in Boston.
Thank you, Natalie. You saw what's happening to David Boeri out there in Winthrop, Jane Hampton, other people out there on the coast. Well, Polly Perkins' kid wasn't born yesterday. I chose this nice downtown assignment. The political reporter said, I'll go to City Hall and take care of that for you. You may notice that I'm not at all wet. It's not because it isn't raining in Boston. As our cameraman Zip Bradwell gets off me, you can see in Boston it's actually coming down in sheets. But like the enterprising, self-serving reporter that I am, we're standing underneath City Hall Plaza, nice and protected. And actually, it's not as selfish as you might think. We're standing here because it's a great position to be in and be able to show you the eye of the storm once it gets to this location, because we will be sufficiently well protected given wind direction that we can show you how strong it actually gets here when it gets as strong as it possibly gets, and still be able to show it to you without our equipment going belly up on us. We've just got some information from officials inside City Hall. That information is that they've had one evacuation within the city of Boston. That was a trailer park out in the western part of the city a few hours ago. Other than that, there have been no emergency calls in the city of Boston, but everyone realizes that, of course, the storm has not yet gotten here. It's on Block Island, it's coming, and when it gets here, we'll be here to tell you what happens in downtown Boston. Chet?
It's your place when you're standing right now, I should hope, Kirby.
All right, Kirby.
Okay, we'll be back to you.
Thank you very much. We're going to pop right over to Brian Leary in our newsroom now, who's been on the phone with some Coast Guard personnel. Brian?
And winds which will continue to increase close to 75 to 100 miles an hour here in much of eastern Massachusetts as the storm gets closer to us. The strongest wind should be to the northeast of the storm center, and that's where we're talking. The heaviest winds over Cape, over southeastern Mass, and moving off towards the northeast. So again, if threatening weather does exist or winds really intense, go to the lowest part of your house, preferably down in the basement, or if you don't have a basement, go to the middle part of your house. Certainly stay away from windows. You don't want to be prone to having a tree fall down or anything like that, which could cause damage, break the windows or whatever. You want to get away from those windows. Don't keep looking out the window and watching the storm. Get in the middle part of the house if real threatening weather does exist. So that's the way it looks right now. Again, the storm's moving at 35 miles an hour. The strongest, the worst part of the storm here in Boston will be in the next 2 to 3 hours, and then the storm is going to whip right by. Once it moves by and the winds go into the northwest, there could be some spiral bands of rain which could come down over Cape Cod as well. And the winds will be shifting as the storm center moves by with the circulation in a counterclockwise fashion. So again, as the storm moves by and we have some clearing coming in late this afternoon or early this evening, you want to watch out going out because the possibility of encountering down to tree limbs, trees, and power lines. So be very careful about that. Jack.
See that your window is open right behind you. Here at WBZ, we've had some exceedingly heavy rains coming in here with high gusty winds. I assume this is what some of those bands are we saw that are spinning off from the heart of the storm.
For me, it just looks, for a guess, it looks like it's been gusting to 60 miles an hour here at times at the station here. And of course, we're having winds of 90 miles an hour on the south coast with some frequent higher gusts down there. So again, the whole thing is coming up. And we'll be with you all afternoon, Jack.
Their big concern is they're afraid the storm surge could go as high, and I'm saying that on the extreme end.
Everyone, I'm Paul Wagner with the WLVI Kids Club. I'm here with Ron Harris, meteorologist and weatherman for the News at 10. Now, Ron, we understand there's a huge hurricane coming our way. It just hit Westerly, Rhode Island. Now, a hurricane, kids, is a major problem in the weather system. It means winds are going to be over 74 miles an hour, rains are going to be strong, tides are going to be flying around, the oceans are going to be wild, and what it also means is that you've got to be careful and stay in the house. Now, this particular hurricane is a 3 out of 5 on the 5 scale. Now, Ron's going to give us an update on what's happening now with Hurricane Bob.
Okay, thanks. We are talking about quite a storm here, still near Category 3. It appears to me that the center of the storm is very close to Block Island, or passed right over the Block Island area, and moving on across between Newport and New Bedford. And as it does, it'll be tracking off to the northeast and continuing to accelerate. Now, water temperatures are a little cooler on the south coast, so it has weakened slightly, but don't let that deceive you. Still a dangerous hurricane. For Boston, the worst is yet to come. That'll be between 1 and 3 o'clock. Look at the satellite, Luke, and you'll see what I mean here by the slight weakening. You can see the enhanced clouds I've got in red. Note the eye. Since this morning, it moves off to the northeast. Actually, this picture starts yesterday, later in the day. Rolling off to the northeast, the eye getting smaller than more diffuse, but still the strong winds around that system as it barrels off to the northeast. And we've now had a report of a wind gust over 100 miles per hour at Block Island. Some other spots are gusting over 90 miles per hour now on the south coast. So everything is happening right now. They're seeing the storm surge as I speak on the south coast through Narragansett Bay and proper down through Cape Cod. And again, that center will be moving on across the Boston area. It appears to me very close to Boston, always say around 4 or 5 o'clock. Now what's going to happen is we're going to see the winds come in from a different direction. It may slacken some, then all of a sudden the winds will start to pick up instead of southeast out of the northwest. And that's important because at the time that the winds go northwest, we're going to have a high tide around here, 4 o'clock or so, and that is when we'll have a wind blowing offshore rather than onshore. So it is not simultaneous with a high tide, thank goodness for that, but plenty going on the south coast right now.
All right. Well, the printers are going wild right now with reports coming in about what the hurricane is doing and what it's going to be doing. Now, kids, if you're at friends' houses or if you're not at your home, just so you know, you're going to want to stay where you are until around 6 or 7 o'clock when things slow down. In the Boston area, you will be having the storm hit probably around 3:30 or 4. If you need to take an MBTA home now, the trains are not, most of them are not running. The above-ground train stops around 1 o'clock, and like the D lines are running, but if the winds reach 75 miles an hour, which is bound to happen, they're going to stop running. But some of the underground lines are rolling.
I just wanted to add that also, besides the wind that I've been playing up here, is the fact that we're going to have the rainfall. In some spots, there could be locally 10 to 15 inches of rainfall, and that's nothing to sneeze at either. So there'll be some flash flooding with that, obviously, and then with all the wind itself around the storm, there'll be some downed trees and power lines. We've had spot reports of power outages at this time around Norwell, some downed trees as well. So everything is moving off to the northeast. And again, this evening, it's all going to be over, but at that time, you'll have to watch out for trees that have fallen as well as the power lines that'll be down. So be cautious of the whole situation.